"Back away or I'll tase you," he screamed, but then black stuff surrounded him. The fake HOA cop shoved my uncle against the fence, yanked out a taser and aimed it directly at his chest. His face was red, spitting with rage. "Back away from the door," he barked. "This property is under HOA control now." My uncle just stood there, confused but calm. He was wearing a simple gray hoodie and jeans. He looked like a regular guy. You'd never guess he was a senior agent with the FBI. The fake cop didn't know. The neighborhood didn't know. But I did. I was standing just a few feet away, my hands shaking. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The man pointing the taser wore a phony badge, a bulletproof vest that said HOA Enforcement Unit, and aviator glasses too big for his face. The crowd of nosy neighbors watched in silence, whispering and recording on their phones. No one dared to speak up. No one moved. Then we heard it. Engines. Multiple. Black SUVs rolled down the street like thunder. Windows tinted, lights blinking. They didn't stop at the corner. They came straight for us. The fake cop turned, confused. What's that?" I could see the fear in his eyes. My heart pounded as the lead SUV stopped right behind him. The doors swung open and real FBI agents poured out like it was a raid scene in a movie. "Drop the taser," one agent barked, raising his weapon. "Now." The fake cop froze. His mouth opened. The taser slipped from his hand and clattered to the ground. Then he dropped to his knees. His hands were trembling. And just like that, he collapsed. The crowd gasped. Someone screamed. And all I could do was stare. How did we get here? Well, let me take you back to where it all began. It all started a few months earlier when my uncle and I moved to a peaceful little neighborhood called Willow Grove Ranch Estates. We'd been through a lot. My uncle, Sam, had taken me in after my parents passed away in a car accident. I was only 15. He promised to give me a fresh start. Somewhere safe. Somewhere calm. Uncle Sam wasn't your average guy. He was quiet, a little mysterious, and didn't talk much about his work. He always told me to stay low, stay humble, and never pick a fight first. But he didn't say much more than that. We bought a small ranch-style house at the edge of the neighborhood. It had a white fence, a wide front yard, and even a shed in the back where Uncle Sam liked to tinker with electronics. Things were normal at first. We'd wave to neighbors, go on walks, and sometimes attend block parties. But there was something weird about the people in charge of the HOA. Their uniforms looked off. Their rules were extreme. And the way they walked around with fake radios and clipboards made it feel more like a military camp than a friendly community. Then things took a dark turn. About 2 weeks in, a woman named Brenda came knocking on our door. Short, round, and wearing a tight blazer with a badge that literally said, Chief HOA Officer. She looked at me and asked, "Is the homeowner in?" My uncle stepped forward and calmly said, "I am. How can I help you?" Brenda didn't smile. She pointed at our porch. "That flower pot is 1 inch over the regulation height. You'll need to remove it by tomorrow morning, or you'll face a $500 fine." My uncle stared at her. "Excuse me?" She handed him a paper that looked official, but on closer look, it wasn't from any government agency. Just a logo that said Willow Grove HOA, printed in Comic Sans font. "Also," she added, "you'll need to repaint your fence. White isn't approved. It should be HOA beige. You can buy the paint from me directly." Uncle Sam didn't argue. He took the paper, nodded politely, and closed the door. Then he looked at me and said quietly, "These people are scammers. Be careful." From then on it got worse. Fake HOA officers would park outside our house at night. They wore knockoff tactical gear and shined flashlights through our windows. One even tried to sneak into our backyard and measure the grass. That night, Uncle Sam pulled out a notebook and started writing everything down. Times, dates, what they said, what they wore. He was building a file. But I still had no clue he was FBI. I just thought he was a careful guy. That all changed the day one of the fake HOA cops stepped way out of line. It was a Friday afternoon. I was helping Uncle Sam clean out the shed when we heard banging at the front door. Not knocking, banging. We ran out and saw a man in a black vest labeled HOA Security Task Force, trying to break the door handle. "Open this door. You're in violation of Code 12B, he shouted. Uncle Sam stepped in. "That's private property. Who are you?" The man spun around, pulled out a taser, and shouted, "Back away now." He looked sweaty. His voice was shaky. Like he was trying hard to act tough but didn't really know what he was doing. Uncle Sam raised his hands slowly. "Easy. You don't want to do this." That's when I saw him press the taser trigger halfway. It lit up with that scary electric sound. My heart skipped. I wanted to scream but I couldn't move. He took one step closer to my uncle. And that's when we heard the engines. The black SUVs stormed down the street like lions. Neighbors froze. The fake cop turned around, and everything in his body tensed. He didn't run. He didn't shout. He just stood there, confused. The agent stepped out. Real ones this time. Vests marked FBI. Weapons drawn. Dropped the taser. The man dropped it, then fell to his knees. And just like that, collapsed. The whole neighborhood screamed. And me? I just whispered, "Uncle Sam, who are you?" He turned to me, smiled gently, and said, "I think it's time we had a talk." We got into our old Ford truck and pulled away while the agents continued surrounding the fake cop. As we drove, I finally asked what had been burning in my brain for weeks. "Uncle Sam, are you FBI?" He sighed. He didn't answer right away. Instead he said, "I used to be. Took early retirement. But when I saw the HOA running scams in this neighborhood, I knew something bigger was happening. That guy today? He's just the tip of the iceberg." I blinked. But how did they fake everything? The badges? The uniforms? The patrol cars? "That's what we're going to find out," he said, gripping the steering wheel tighter. Then he added something that sent shivers down my spine. "They're not just scamming people. They're laundering money." Uncle Sam parked the truck by the small hill overlooking Willow Grove's clubhouse. From up there we had a clear view of the building, painted beige with big red flowers in front and a flag waving outside. Looked normal. Until you noticed the security cameras. And the steel door. And the armed guard pacing out front like it was a government facility. He handed me binoculars. "See that guy? I've seen him before, at a case in New Mexico. He used to work for a cartel. Went missing 5 years ago." My jaw dropped. "A cartel?" He nodded. "Yeah. These fake HOA enforcers? They've been pushing residents around, issuing fake fines, then forcing people to settle their debts by selling land at discount prices. All the money's being funneled through dummy accounts. I've been tracking them quietly, until today. I couldn't believe it. Our peaceful neighborhood was actually a criminal cover operation? Then I remembered something that made my blood run cold. The neighbors, they all said the HOA would punish anyone who spoke up. One guy down the street, Mr. Jenkins, said his garage was burned down after he complained. Uncle Sam's eyes narrowed. That confirms it. We're not just dealing with scammers. These guys are dangerous. We stayed on that hill until sunset. Then, from the shadows, we watched several cars pull up to the clubhouse. Regular-looking people stepped out, one of them being Brenda, the woman who yelled about our flower pots. She wasn't in her blazer now. She was in tactical black gear. Another man followed her. Bald. Muscular. Walked like he owned the place. Uncle Sam pointed him out. That's the real leader. Code name, Cinder. He's been running HOA scams in 5 different states. Changes his identity every 6 months. He's wanted in 2 countries. I whispered, "So what happens now?" He smiled, but it wasn't a warm smile. "We flushed them out." Uncle Sam made a call using a phone I'd never seen before. Rugged. Secure. Probably FBI issued. Within minutes, I saw lights blinking on the hill behind us. More black SUVs had arrived. This time they had drones and equipment bags. The lead agent, a woman named Agent Coleman, greeted my uncle like they were old friends. "Sam, you still doing cowboy work out here?" "Couldn't help myself," he said. "They messed with my nephew." She looked at me and winked. "He's got guts hanging around you." Then she handed him a USB drive. "This has the full blueprint of the clubhouse. Surveillance feeds. Power grid controls. You're good to go." That's when I realized, my uncle wasn't just some random retiree. He used to lead operations like this. And tonight he was coming out of retirement. Back at our house they set up a command center in the shed. Computers, cameras, wires, all connected to the clubhouse. I watched the live feed. Inside the clubhouse were stacks of cash, forged documents, and fake HOA uniforms. And something worse, a backroom labeled collections. Inside were photos of residents, crossed out, circled, tagged with amounts owed. That's when Uncle Sam stood up. "They're planning something for tomorrow. A mass seizure. Going door to door." Agent Coleman's face hardened. "Then we hit them tonight." Just before midnight, the plan was simple. Infiltrate the clubhouse, gather physical evidence, then alert backup. But something went wrong. The signal cut. The power flickered. The drones got jammed. And my uncle, who had gone in alone, didn't come out. Agent Coleman lost comms. I felt sick. That's when I grabbed the walkie on the table and screamed, "Uncle Sam? Are you okay?" Static. Then, his voice came through, calm but serious. "Stay back. I've got eyes on Brenda. She's armed. I need 10 minutes. If I don't signal, send them in." Then the screen showed something chilling. Brenda had found him. Gun in hand. She raised it. The feed cut to black. Agent Coleman yelled, "Go. Now." And I just stood there, frozen, knowing my uncle had walked into the belly of the beast, for me. 5 minutes later, a convoy of agents crept toward the clubhouse under cover of night. They moved like shadows, stealthy, tactical, and fast. Drones flew overhead again, this time on a protected frequency. From the monitor, I could see them breaching the back entrance. Then the main door burst open. Federal agents. Hands in the air. Screams. Shouting. And then gunfire. Not bullets, rubber rounds. But still enough to stun everyone involved. Brenda ran for the back hallway. And right behind her, my uncle. He was limping slightly but alive. His shirt had a rip down the side, and he was holding a flash drive in one hand and zip ties in the other. He looked into the nearest camera and said, "Tell Coleman I've got everything we need. And tell my nephew I'm okay." I nearly cried right there in the shed. 20 minutes later, the clubhouse was completely secured. Every fake HOA officer, including Brenda, was arrested. They were being lined up in the parking lot, faces pale and shaking. Some neighbors watched from behind trees. Others peeked through windows, too shocked to even breathe. Inside the command shed, we plugged the flash drive into a laptop. The folder names made Agent Coleman whistle under her breath. Fraud reports _2019-2025. Brenda alias _ fake HOA contracts _payments.xlsx. Willow Grove victims _videos. There were videos of elderly residents being threatened for non-payment, secret recordings of meetings, where they decided who to intimidate next, and even a map showing which homes they planned to seize in the next few weeks. I felt sick. Uncle Sam looked at me and said, "This is what I was trying to stop before it got worse." Later that night, back at home, I sat with Uncle Sam on the porch. His leg was wrapped in a bandage and he was sipping water slowly. "Who were they really?" I asked. He sighed. "Most of them were ex-cons. People kicked out of real enforcement jobs. They formed this fake HOA task force and moved from neighborhood to neighborhood. Set up fake homeowner associations, wrote bogus rules, then bullied people into paying fines." I blinked. "And no one ever stopped them?" "They were smart," he said. "They picked unincorporated areas. Places without real HOA boards. Made up everything from scratch. Most people just gave in, too afraid to fight back." "But you didn't," I said. He smiled. "You can't let fear win." When the sun rose the next morning, the entire neighborhood was different. For the first time in months, people were outside. Talking. Smiling. Thanking the real agents. Some brought out donuts. Others baked casseroles. It was like a spell had been lifted. Even the mailman looked relieved. As we walked down the street, one old man, Mr. Jenkins, came up to my uncle holding a newspaper. "Son," he said, "I've lived here 34 years. And I've never seen anything like what you just did." "Thank you." Uncle Sam nodded. "We just want peace." Later that afternoon, while I was helping pack up the command shed, I noticed a sleek black sports car slowly driving past our house. Tinted windows. No plates. It paused at our mailbox, then sped off. I walked inside and told Uncle Sam. His eyes narrowed. "Looks like someone didn't get the message." That night, just as we were locking up, we found a letter taped to the front door. No envelope. Just a single sentence typed in all caps. "You may have taken out our pawns, but the king is still in play." Uncle Sam turned pale for the first time ever. He handed me the note. "We're not done yet, kid. Not even close." We regrouped in the shed while Agent Coleman returned with her team. The note on our door changed everything. What we thought was a final win was really just the beginning. Uncle Sam stared at the message again. "You may have taken out our pawns, but the king is still in play." He said nothing at first. Just pulled out his notebook, the same one he'd used when he started tracking the fake HOA weeks ago. He opened a new page and wrote just one word at the top: King. Agent Coleman arrived just before midnight, holding a laptop and a sealed envelope. "We got a hit," she said. Fingerprint on the paper matched a known alias, Marcus King. Sam nodded. "I knew it. I've heard whispers about him for years." I blinked. "Who is he?" Coleman leaned forward. "No one knows his real name. But he runs fake HOAs the way others run tech startups. He builds the organization, trains local leaders, sets up fake systems, then disappears once it's too hot. He's like a virus that adapts. Uncle Sam added, he's smart. He doesn't touch anything directly. But we're going to make him slip. Then the shed lights flickered. Our cameras cut for a second. And on the screen a message appeared, "Hello, Sam. Tell the kid I said hi." My stomach dropped. He was watching us. Agent Coleman swore under her breath and pulled the battery from the laptop. He just hacked our backup feed. That was a warning. The next morning we found out what Marcus King meant by catching fire. 3 federal data centers in 3 different states were hit with fires and EMP devices. The files we had uploaded, the only surviving versions of the evidence, were now in our hands. Which meant he was coming for us. Sam activated the escape protocol. We packed up, ditched our home and moved to a secured location in Arizona, an old FBI bunker buried under a fake barn in the desert. Only a few people knew it existed. Inside the bunker we reviewed everything we had on King. Dozens of fake HOA names, offshore accounts, real estate fronts. But one thing caught Sam's attention, a scheduled meeting in a remote part of Arizona, a place called Dry Rock Wells. It was listed on a fake HOA map as a potential expansion site. Coleman contacted local authorities. No one had heard of an HOA there, which meant the King was planning something new, or already had. We went in undercover. Sam posed as a real estate agent, Coleman as a local investor. I came along pretending to be a photographer for their brochure. Dry Rock Wells was eerie. No kids, no music, no dogs barking, just silence. The homes looked identical. Too clean, too perfect. And then we saw it. A man in a crisp suit and dark sunglasses, standing in the middle of the street, staring right at us. Sam whispered, "That's him." I felt my legs freeze. Marcus King. He smiled, nodded, and walked away behind a small chapel building. We followed at a distance, cutting through backyards. Coleman spoke softly through her mic. "Team, we've got visual. Prepare to move in." Sam stepped through a side alley and opened a metal door, expecting an empty room. What did he found instead? A command center. Computers. Blueprints. Boxes labeled, "Land Ownership Files Fake HOA #9-13. It was a full-scale operation. Suddenly, a voice behind us said, "You know, it's rude to sneak into a man's house." We turned. Marcus King. Real. Unmasked. "Come." Sam didn't flinch. "You're done. We've got everything." King just laughed. "You really think you can stop this? I've got 3 other operations launching next week. You shut down one, we grow 3 more. Then he said something I'll never forget. "Fear is profitable. And you can't regulate fear." That's when Coleman said through her mic, "Move in." Doors slammed. Dozens of agents rushed in from all directions. Helicopters hovered overhead. King raised his hands, but he was smiling. Too calm. Way too calm. He looked at me and said, "You think this is a checkmate? Kid, the board hasn't even flipped yet." They hauled him away. We loaded every file, every device, every record from that room into black bags and drove them straight to Washington. For a few days it felt like the world paused. We gave interviews, testimonies. Families from around the country sent letters thanking us for shutting down the nightmare they thought would never end. Then one day Uncle Sam got a package. No return address. Inside, a single chess piece, a black bishop, and a note that said, "The King was just a piece. Good luck finding who's really playing." Sam stared at it for a long time. Then he whispered, "We're still in the game." And I knew then, the story wasn't over. It was just getting started. For the next few weeks, everything went quiet. No attacks. No mysterious cars. No encrypted messages. But Uncle Sam didn't relax. He doubled our security. Changed phones. Moved us between safe houses like a chess player moving pieces. Always 2 steps ahead, never in the same place twice. One evening, as we sat on the balcony of a safe house deep in the mountains of Utah, he finally said it. "I think Marcus King wasn't the top." I turned toward him. "You mean someone else is above him?" He nodded. "Think about it. He ran a massive international operation, sure. But even he got sloppy. That message about him being the bishop? That means there's someone pulling strings from deeper in the shadows." I stared out into the darkness. "If he was the bishop," I whispered, "who's the king?" Sam stood up, walked to his duffel bag and pulled out a thick manila envelope. "I've been working that out." Inside were photos, memos, intelligence reports, hidden transactions. They all had one name popping up over and over again. Clayton Rowe. I leaned closer. Who's that? Sam tapped a photo. A silver-haired man in a three-piece suit, standing at a ribbon-cutting ceremony for a housing development. He's a land developer. Owns a chain of legal firms. Runs charities for neighborhood development all across North America. But underneath the charities, there's a maze of shell companies. And every time a fake HOA gets shut down, one of his firms buys the land within months. My heart pounded. So he profits from the fallouts? Exactly. He buys the foreclosed homes, flips them, or uses them as legal fronts. He doesn't just create the game, he capitalizes on it quietly. Do we have proof? Sam nodded. Just enough. That night, he made the call to Agent Coleman. We've got a new target. The operation was codenamed Endgame. Our team traveled to New York, where Clayton Rowe's main office towered above the skyline like a monument to untouchable wealth. He was hosting a community empowerment gala, a black-tie event filled with politicians, celebrities, and corporate elites. Coleman got us in as part of the event's security detail. Sam dressed as one of the donors. I went in carrying the cameras and wireless mics. From the outside it looked like a party. But we knew better. Every speech, every toast, every photo op, was a distraction. The real meeting was happening in the penthouse. Sam had bugged the elevator. From our van outside we listened in. Rowe's voice came through, smooth and measured. Marcus King failed. Predictable. That's why I never gave him the full map. Someone else replied, what about the files? The ones the kid and the ex-agent stole? Rowe chuckled. Scrambled. Fragmented. They only got half the network. The rest is here in this building. But not on a server. Not even digital. Sam leaned in. He's keeping it physically stored. Coleman spoke into her mic. We need a warrant. Sam shook his head. There's no time. If we wait, he'll move it. And that's when I did something no one expected. I grabbed my camera bag and headed inside. Sam's voice cracked through the earpiece. What are you doing? I whispered, ending the game. I took the service elevator to the top floor. Slipped through the banquet kitchen. Entered a hallway filled with paintings and marble floors. Then I saw the door, private archive, authorized staff only. It had a keypad lock. But earlier I had noticed Rowe's personal assistant enter it. And I remembered the way her fingers moved. The sequence. I could still see it in my mind. I entered the code. Click. The door opened. Inside was a vault, floor to ceiling with metal cabinets. Each one labeled by state. HOA. Land parcels. Shell companies. This was it. The real headquarters of the entire fake HOA syndicate. And on the desk? A chessboard. But every piece was missing, except one. The White King. Then came the voice behind me. You kids never learn, do you? It was Clayton Rowe. Alone. Come. Holding a pistol. I don't enjoy violence, he said, raising it. But you've cost me billions. I raised my hand slowly. I'm just a kid, I said. You win. Okay. You win. He smirked. That's when Sam burst in from the side door and tackled him to the ground. Rowe's gun slid across the floor. Coleman rushed in next, agents storming behind her. Within seconds Rowe was cuffed. But as they led him out, he turned to me and said, You stopped me. But I'm not the only one. There are more. You'll never stop them all. Sam looked at him and replied, Maybe not. But we'll keep coming. One by one. Until the board's empty. That night, the files in Rowe's archive were loaded onto a plane and flown straight to FBI headquarters. The press called it the greatest HOA scam ever exposed. But for us, it was personal. Back in Willow Grove, they held a town celebration. No more fake cops. No more fake fines. Just people rebuilding their community. As Sam and I sat on the front porch watching kids ride bikes again, I asked him, Do you think it's over? He looked at the sky and said, Maybe. Or maybe the real game is just beginning. Then he turned to me and smiled. Ready to play again, partner? And I smiled back. Always. The months that followed were quieter, but never fully calm. Uncle Sam may have returned to the shadows, but I saw it in his eyes. He was always watching, always listening. He didn't retire again, not really. He just stepped back into the crowd like a player waiting for the next round.
And as for me, I wasn't just the kid anymore. The Bureau invited me to speak at a youth cybercrime conference. They said I had unique insight. I didn't talk much about Marcus King or Clayton Rowe, I couldn't. But I told them the truth about fear and silence. About how evil doesn't always come dressed in dark cloaks and masks. Sometimes, it wears a name tag that says, HOA President. Sometimes, it smiles at you over your fence and tells you your grass is too tall. I told them that monsters don't always knock at your door, they write you letters instead. A few days later, Sam and I were having dinner at a small barbecue shack just outside of Texas when the waitress came to our table with a plain envelope, no return address, she said. Inside was a single photo. Me and Sam, taken from a distance, at the same conference I had just spoken at. On the back was a handwritten message. The board never clears. It just resets. Sam held the photo between his fingers and stared at it for a long time. Then he chuckled. Guess we're still on the list. I looked at him. Do you think it's someone new? Maybe, he said. Or maybe the same people. Just a new mask. We left the restaurant quietly that night. No sirens. No helicopters. Just two people walking into the evening. But deep down, I knew. If the fake HOAs returned. If another self-declared king thought he could control people with fines, fake uniforms, and fear, we'd be ready. Because this time, we weren't just playing defense. We were building the board ourselves. And the first piece we moved. It was the truth. The next morning, Sam started burning old notebooks. Out on the porch, he lit them page by page, watching the flames flicker and curl around the corners of hand-drawn maps, encrypted codes, photos of suspects, and records of arrests. I sat beside him, sipping cold orange juice from a jar. You sure about this? I asked. He nodded. We exposed the major network. There'll be more copycats, sure, but the infrastructure, the core, it's gone. The rest? He shrugged. Just noise now. Still, it didn't feel like noise. Not to me. We'd seen what power in the wrong hands could do. A taser. A clipboard. A fake badge. That's all it took to scare entire communities into silence. But we didn't stay silent. Not then. Not now. Sam tossed the last page into the flames and said, they called it a game. Chess. Strategy. Pieces. Yeah. I said. He looked at me and smirked. They forgot one thing. What? He tapped my forehead gently with two fingers. Sometimes, the pawn survives long enough to become something else. We sat in silence for a while. Birds chirped in the distance. Somewhere down the block, kids rode their bikes again. For once, no one was watching through binoculars or hiding behind HOA clipboards. And just as we thought the day might pass quietly, Sam's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He let it ring twice. Then answered. No voice. Just the soft sound of piano music playing on the other end. Beethoven's Für Elise. Then, a robotic voice, hello again, Sam. Looks like you've been busy. Let's see how long the piece lasts. Click. Sam stared at the phone for a moment. Then smiled, cute. He dropped the phone into a metal case and closed it. Looks like someone's auditioning to be the next king, I muttered. Or, Sam said, standing up and stretching his arms, it's the old one, wearing a different face. Either way, we knew better than to relax. So while the world outside kept spinning, and people went back to their barbecues and lawn care and Tuesday night bingo, Sam rewired the shed again that I updated my laptop firewall. And we waited. Because the board? It never truly clears. But now, we had pieces of our own. And this time, we weren't just going to protect the neighborhood. We were going to protect every board they tried to play. 3 days later, a file arrived at our door. Not by email. Not by flash drive. But by envelope, dropped in the old rusty mailbox we hadn't checked in days. No stamp. No return address. Just our last names printed in block letters, S. Whitaker and T. Whitaker. Inside, a small USB drive. And a note. For the next move, you'll need to see the full board. Sam looked at it and said nothing. We took it to a secured laptop, air-gapped from the internet, and plugged it in. What popped up was confusing. Dozens of folder names, each titled after neighborhoods across the country, ones we'd never heard of. Inside each folder were fake board meeting minutes, fake homeowner complaints, and screenshots of personal emails between real people. The data was live. Real-time surveillance. Ongoing scams. Some hadn't even launched yet. Sam whispered, "These are blueprints. Digital HOA kits. They're franchising the scam." This wasn't over. It wasn't even close. Someone, or some group, had taken King's original model and turned it into a downloadable empire. They were selling the scam. Teaching others to build fake HOAs, neighborhood enforcers, even entire legal networks from scratch, under the radar. One zip code at a time. I scrolled to the bottom and found one folder marked simply Phoenix. That was our region. I opened it. There was a map. And our home was already tagged red. They were planning to reclaim what we had exposed. Sam stood up immediately. "We end this now. No more playing their game." We called Agent Coleman and flew straight to Washington. This time, we brought the fire with us. The task force was reactivated. Only this time, we weren't just hunting Marcus King. We were tracing the entire web, and we weren't asking permission. Within 2 weeks, we tracked 17 active scam cells using the HOA framework. By week 5, we had infiltrated their communications server, a hidden forum disguised as a gardening supply wholesale website. Their leader's username? @Boardmaster0. We didn't know who it was. But they knew us. One thread was titled, "The Whitakers, Kill or Convert." Sam snapped a photo of the screen and said, "They just made this personal again." So we baited them. Posted in the forum under a fake profile. Pretended to be a frustrated neighborhood leader looking for a new way to gain compliance. It worked. A moderator responded. Gave us a meeting location. A hotel conference room in Chicago. No names. No phones. No federal anything. Sam looked at me. "You sure you're up for this?" I nodded. "Let's finish it." At the hotel, we wore plain clothes and wired up hidden cams. We waited. Then, a man walked in. Early 30s. Sharp. Blazer and sneakers. The kind of guy you'd think was a startup CEO, not a criminal mastermind. He sat across from us and said, "You're the ones who broke Rose's network. You took King down too." Sam nodded. "And you're the one trying to rebuild it." The man smiled. "I'm not rebuilding anything," he said. "I'm scaling it." He opened a briefcase and slid over a glossy binder. "Here's the model. No more physical offices. All digital. Community compliance through AI reporting. Fines issued automatically. Threats handled through third-party enforcement. Everyone wins." I stared at the binder. It was terrifying. Efficient. Almost elegant. "You're automating harassment," I said. He shrugged. "I'm optimizing enforcement." Then he said the thing that chilled me. "We don't need fear anymore. We use friction. We make life harder for people who don't fall in line. That's what control is now. Quiet. Invisible. Seamless." Sam leaned back and said, "You're under arrest." The man didn't flinch. "Figures. I've already uploaded the system. Even if you kill me now, someone else will pick it up." Coleman's agent stormed seconds later. He didn't run. Didn't speak. Just smiled. Later that night, we found out he was just a coder, a hired architect. The real founder of the new system? Unknown. Faceless. Nameless. Somewhere out there, the scam had outgrown its own creators. And we realized. This wasn't a chess game anymore. This was something else. Something bigger. But that night, after everything was said and done, I asked Sam what we were going to do next. He looked me in the eyes and said, "We stay loud." And that's exactly what we did. We turned the story into a documentary. We published the data through whistleblower channels. We taught people how to spot fake HOAs, how to verify fines, how to read real deeds and spot fraudulent ones. And when they tried to silence us, we got louder. People started calling us the HOA hunters. They thought it was funny. We didn't care. Because now the world was watching. Now the board was lit up. And for the first time, people stopped playing by the scammers' rules. Uncle Sam and I returned home one spring evening. No suitcases. No briefings. Just the sun setting behind our little white ranch house. As we sat on the porch, he handed me a chess piece. A white pawn. "I kept this," he said. "From the first takedown." I turned it over in my hand. It was smooth. Worn from years of use. "Do you think we won?" I asked. He leaned back in his chair and smiled. "No," I stared at him, confused. He said, "We didn't win. We learned how to fight. And for now." That was enough. The real game had just begun.